What is the NBA? Can you touch it? Can you feel it? Today we're going to be learning about those sort of things. For instance, what is the NBA? Who are players in the NBA? Who is the best player of all time? When are we learning those things? Now? Later? Or now? The answer to that question is now. A man once said, Cleveland, this is for you. Who was that man? That was LeBron James, of course. Everybody knows that. But who said, I'm going to fight them all? A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. Nobody knows that, right? And who knows who the best NBA player is? There are always different opinions about this question. Most people say Michael Jordan. Other people say Wilt Chamberlain. Today we're going to explore their stats and find out who really is the best. Let's start off with most people's guess. Michael Jordan. He won 3 MVPs. He won 6 titles and 6 appearances. He made a lot of game-winning baskets in his career. Does he match other players of his caliber? A lot of people just say, oh, it's MJ, he can dunk the best. He won 6 titles and 6 appearances. He has awesome shoes. But others say, now hold up just a minute. Don't get so cocky about your pick. Let's explore the other options. That man is me, the Mazdan piano player. What about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Many people know him to be the guy who was the wingman to Magic Johnson. Most people don't know that he actually was the leader of the Bucks. The Bucks were a lowly franchise. They didn't have many players. They didn't have a lot of talent. Eventually, they drafted Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In his first year, they didn't make it that far. In his second year, they got Oscar Robertson from the Kings, and they won a finals. Eventually, Kareem wasn't satisfied with the amount of titles that they didn't go to. He went to the Lakers. Magic Johnson had been just drafted, and Kareem saw a lot of talent in him because, he's Kareem. He moved to the Lakers, and they won a title in their first year. What they didn't know is that a new man was arising in the East. That man was Larry Bird. Nobody really puts him in the best NBA player of all time conversation, but we can still talk about him. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird had a big history. They were in the championship against each other, and eventually, Magic Johnson won. Larry Bird wanted revenge. He joined the Celtics, who'd been one of the best franchises in NBA history until that point. The Lakers were good too, but they couldn't match the Celtics ever once Bill Russell was there. The Celtics got a few key pieces: Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Larry Bird. They made it to the finals in their second season together. And they faced the Lakers. Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson again. But who really led the Lakers to that championship? It was Kareem. He was their MVP. He won MVP that season. He won the MVP twice with the Lakers. Check my math if I'm wrong. And every single championship that the Lakers won against the Celtics, he was in. And every championship that they lost against the Celtics, he was in. And every championship that they lost to the Sixers, he was in. And every championship they won against the Sixers, he was in. He retired as the player with the most MVPs in NBA history, 6. And as one of the most treasured players in NBA history. As he left, Michael Jordan was arising. And then people just saw him as the best NBA player in history because he was better than any other NBA player had been before him. Now let's go to the conversation of Wilt Chamberlain. He scored 100 points in a game, a record that has never been topped, and the closest that anybody's ever gotten to that is 81 points, scored by Kobe Bryant against the Raptors in the mid 2000s. People don't know that Wilt Chamberlain actually was in the conference finals almost every season in his Warriors/76ers career. But they always fell short to the Celtics. One year they did make it, and they won. Wilt Chamberlain eventually went to the Lakers and won a championship with them. He is seen as one of the most underrated players in NBA history. People only know him for scoring 100 points in a game. That was his most notable feat? Nope. That wasn't even close. He set the record for the most rebounds in a single game. He averaged like 20 rebounds a game and 50 points a game. That's a record that's never been topped ever. And on top of all that, he averaged 6 assists. Centers even nowadays don't average that much. He almost averaged a triple-double. Centers never do that. Unless your name is, well, nobody. They're the ones getting lobbed to. But Wilt Chamberlain didn't get lobbed to a lot. He found people open, and he found himself open. Practically, he could have had 20 assists in a game every single season if passing the ball to yourself was a thing. Because he scored so many points, he's overrated in some parts of his career, but also underrated in other parts. Now we'll move on to our two final players. They're notable. People know them by many names. Let's start off with Kobe Bryant. We are mourning the passing of Kobe Bryant in a helicopter crash, along with his daughter Gianna and a few other innocent people. But Kobe Bryant was one of the best NBA players of all time. He didn't have the longest career. He had about 20 years. He didn't even play as long as Vince Carter, and he's more notable than Vince Carter. Even LeBron James has played almost as much as Kobe Bryant did in his career. And Kobe Bryant is still more notable than LeBron. But Kobe Bryant is very underrated in ways as well. LeBron got more points than him in the day before Kobe Bryant died of all time. Most points of all time. Higher than Kobe Bryant the day before he died. Probably LeBron should have deserved some karma as well, but he didn't get any karma. Kobe Bryant respects him. Kobe Bryant respected him. Kobe Bryant was one of the nicest players in NBA history, as well as one of the dirtiest players of NBA history. Kobe Bryant scored the second most points all time in a single game, 81 against the Raptors in the mid-2000s. What many people don't know is that Kobe Bryant, he suffered a lot of terrible injuries. He suffered a torn Achilles. That's like a football injury. That's even a football, soccer injury. By football, I mean football, soccer, Football, soccer. And his most notable feat wasn't even his top feat. Most people don't know, but he's won 5 titles. And people say, oh, he won them with Shaq. Shaq did most of the work. Shaq didn't do a lot of the work. Shaq got injured a lot. That's what a lot of people don't know. And these true facts are actually really, really good when it comes to facts. And now, finally, let's go on to Cleveland. This is for you. LeBron James, drafted by the Cavaliers out of high school in 2003. First pick in the NBA draft. Second pick went to the Pistons. And in that draft class, he's said to be the best player in that draft class. There was D. Wade, Melo, tons of other players. Although the Pistons they picked some bust that I don't even know the name of. LeBron James is said to be the greatest player of all time, almost passing MJ. But let's look at their stats. His stats, not MJ, because we already talked about MJ. LeBron James made it to one final in 7 seasons. They eventually lost to the Spurs in 5 games. LeBron won it out and went to Miami. They burned it. The Cleveland, you all know the story. They burned his jerseys eventually, and then in Miami he won 2 straight titles, and then he lost to the Spurs again. He went to Cleveland saying, "You know what? If I'm on a super team and I can't even beat the Spurs, who have players that are getting old, then I can't be on this team anymore." He goes to the Cavaliers. Right when he goes there, there's a new talent rising. The new kids in town, the Golden State Warriors, they're young. They got the best 3-point shooters of all time. And LeBron, all he has is Kyrie and Kevin Love. They've lost their first title, shockingly, to the Warriors. Most people were thinking, LeBron James, is he really the best player of all time? And then shockingly, down 3-1 in the finals, they come back and win. And you know what he said? "I'm confident because I'm the best player in the world." And it really looked like he was. The 3-1 comeback was the first and only comeback from 3 games to 1 in NBA Finals history. Hasn't been topped since, although it was only 4 years ago. For the next 2 titles, he lost to the Warriors. He moved to the Lakers, LA, Hollywood. They didn't reach the playoffs in that first season there, but the Lakers added AD, and they're in the finals right now. They're playing tomorrow for Game 4. It's to be determined who wins that, but they're up 2-1 in the series. The Heat do have a little momentum from winning that last game. Okay, see you later, guys. That was some NBA facts. Who do you think is the best NBA player of all time? Put that in the comments below. Bye.